Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down something huge, India's strategic plan to become a global powerhouse in animation, VFX, gaming, and a whole lot more. And hey, if you're prepping for exams, you're going to want to pay close attention. This is exactly the kind of deep dive you need.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the massive opportunity in front of India. Then, we'll get into the weeds on what's holding us back. From there, we'll check out the government's game plan, their big recommendations. And of course, we'll finish up with a super focused summary to help you lock all this in for your exams.
Okay, let's kick things off by talking about the sheer scale of the opportunity here. The government has literally labeled this a champion service sector. Now, what does that mean? It's basically the government saying, hey, this is a really big deal for our economy, and it's getting top priority.
So, you're going to hear this acronym a lot, AVGC-XR. What in the world is it? Well, it stands for animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, and extended reality. Think of it as this whole creative universe powered by tech. This is the core concept, so make sure you've got it down.
Okay, now take a look at these numbers because they really paint a picture. The global market, a mind-boggling $168 billion. And India's slice of that pie in 2021? Just over $1 billion. But listen, that gap? That's not bad news. That is pure, untapped potential. It's basically a giant flashing sign that says room for massive growth.
And this is where it gets really exciting. What does that growth mean in real terms? It means jobs. We're talking about the potential to create something like 20 lakh. That's 2 million new jobs. For a country with so much young talent, that is an absolute game changer.
You know, this isn't some distant dream. India's talent is already making huge waves on the global stage. Think about it. The incredible VFX in RRR, that was us. The dragons in Game of Thrones, animated right here in India. Even the Oscar-winning effects for Tenet, our artists are already proving they're among the best in the world.
Okay, so that brings up a really big question, right? If the opportunity is huge and our talent is top-notch, why aren't we leading the charge already? What are the roadblocks? Let's dig into the challenges.
And that's really the central puzzle the government's task force set out to solve. It's not about a lack of raw talent, and it's not about a lack of opportunity. The real issue is that we've been missing a single, strong, supportive system, an ecosystem, to tie it all together and let it flourish.
So let's break down these hurdles. First, you've got a skill gap. What's being taught in colleges just doesn't quite match what the industry needs. Second, there's no national-level, top-tier institute for this stuff. And here's a big one. We're creating very little of our own original content, our own intellectual property. Most of the work is service work for foreign countries. Add to that a mix of confusing regulations and a lack of specific funding, and you can see the problem. All right, so to fix all this, the government decided it couldn't just sit back. It needed a direct, strategic plan of attack. And this wasn't some small announcement. This was unveiled in the Union budget back in 2022. By creating this AVGC Promotion Task Force, the government was basically sending a crystal-clear message. This is now a national priority. Their job? To draw up the actual roadmap for growth. And the end goal here is huge. It's about a fundamental shift. We're talking about transforming India from being a country that provides services to a country that creates original content for the world. It's all about a new mission: create in India and build brand India on a global scale.
Okay, now we're getting to the absolute core of it. This is the stuff you really need to know, especially for your exams. This is the government's blueprint, their step-by-step plan to completely transform the sector.
And listen, to make this easier to remember, we all know how helpful that is for exams. They've come up with a great mnemonic. Just remember the word create. Each letter stands for one of the key pillars of their strategy. It's a neat way to keep it all straight in your head. Let's walk through it.
First up, C and R. This stands for content and resources. The big idea here is to launch a Create in India mission to really push for original Indian IP. At the same time, they want to build the infrastructure, starting with the top-level National Center of Excellence, the NCoE, and then smaller regional centers. They're also talking about tapping into our own stories, like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, and even a new DD Kids channel. All right, next we have E&A, Education and Access to Technology. This is fundamental. The plan is to create a standard curriculum for AVGC from school all the way through postgrad. They're even proposing a new aptitude test, the MECAT, to spot talent early. On the tech side, they want to make super expensive software more affordable, maybe through subscriptions. And a big one, a PLI scheme to encourage companies to actually make the hardware we need right here in India. And to round out our CREATE mnemonic, we have T&E. That's for talent and equity, or inclusion. The idea is to bridge the gap between industry and academia by letting real-world experts come in and teach as professors of practice. They also want to make sure the teachers themselves are constantly updated. And so important, this can't just be a big city thing. There's a huge focus on taking this growth to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to find talent everywhere.
All right, let's pull all of this together. Think of this next part as your ultimate exam cheat sheet. This is the high-density stuff, the key terms and numbers you absolutely need to have locked in.
First, the key terms. You've got to know these. AVGC-XR. What is it? What does it mean that it's a champion service sector? What's the goal of the Create in India mission? What exactly is the proposed National Center of Excellence, NCoE? And of course, what is IP, or intellectual property? These are your key words.
Next, the hard data. Remember these numbers. Job potential, 20 lakh. That's 2 million. Growth target, capture 5% of that massive global market. That's about $40 billion by 2025. What's the core policy recommendation? A national AVGC-XR policy and a dedicated mission. How will they do it? Education reform through the NSQF, new infrastructure like the NCoE and its regional hubs, and a big push for growth in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
So, when you put it all together, the plan is definitely ambitious. The vision is there, the talent is undeniable, so it really leaves us with this one big thought. Is this the moment? Is this when India's creative talent finally takes center stage and powers the next global wave of entertainment? The blueprint is laid out, the potential is absolutely massive. And that wraps up our breakdown. For a deeper look at other key topics, be sure to check out the other videos on our channel. And hey, if this helped you out, do us a favor, hit that like button, share it with anyone else who's studying, and of course, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Thanks so much for watching.